Okay, so this is the next video, and we are like continuing with the our FastAPI series, video series. So let's do a quick revision like what we have did till now, and then we will like proceed further. So it's just like 5 to 7 minute a quick revision, very quick. So let me activate my virtual environment. Okay, so my virtual environment has been activated. Let me show you the code. So this is the code like which we have written till now. So first we created a one FastAPI object by importing the FastAPI class. We pass some metadata information, right, and we created one basic route which is returning some hard-coded message, right. And then what we could see rather than hard coding the metadata information, better to put that information into the configuration file. So nano config, so we put the information, all the metadata information into the configuration file, and we are accessing this metadata information from the configuration file rather than hard coding into the main.py file. Then we could see okay, we have to in the configuration we have to give the database username, password, server port, database URL, and we are using the Postgres database, right. So we have to pass this information, but if we hard coded this sensitive information like password, username, then it looks wrong. So we will we have to define it into our system variable. So rather than defining into the system variable, we define into the .env file, and we define our all the sensitive information like username, password, server port, database name. And within the configuration file we are loading that .env file using the .env module by calling the .env function, load.env function. So once the environment variables get loaded, we are accessing those environment variables using the OS module. So after that what we do is, so once this is done, so the next step is to create a database connection and then create the tables. So we will create a one file database.py file, and using the SQL alchemy we create a database connection. First we create the engine, then we create a session, and we also see how to connect with the SQLite database. So these two command lines are for the SQLite database. And alright, so we could see this how to connect with the database using the SQL alchemy. And after that now we are connected with the database. Now we have to create the table. So we create the two tables, one is the user table and one is the item tables. So the table generally is called as a models, and we define into the form of classes. So we define one user table, one item table, and in the user table we have 4 columns, ID, email, password is active, and in the class column as well we have ID, title, description, and owner ID. So these are the columns, right. So we do also set up the relationship between the user and the item, right. Then what we do is we have to create the table. So we read the metadata information and issue the create all command, and the tables get created, right. So once the table get created, so what we did next, yeah, so after that what we did is so now we have the table is created. Now we have to insert the data into the table. So the user will insert the data from into the table, the user will pass the data into the form of JSON. It will go to the FastAPI, but directly inserting into the data into the database, first we will check the data whether the user pass the correct field. Maybe our database contain only 2 fields, and user passing the 4 fields, right, and whether the user is passing correct information or not. So we are doing some kind of validation. So to do the validation, we are using the pydantic modules, and we create a schema. And so there are 4 fields into the user table. One is the ID. So ID, we don't want the user should pass the ID, so ID is automatically auto incremented. So next are the email and the password. So we only want user should only pass the email and the password from the into the request data. So to validate the request data, we created one schema, and we define the schema for the particular data, right. and the email is the email str type, so it will automatically do the email validation, and the password is the string type. So then we could see, okay, we have the schema validation ready, and we have the database ready. So let me show you. So we have the database ready, the items and the user table is ready under the testing database. So everything is ready, and now the database is empty. You could see, like, if I do public star user, the database is empty, so no record into the database. Now our actual process is to create one route, and that is a post route, which will actually insert the data. So let's see how to do that. So into the main.py file, yes, 1 minute, I think it is already open. Yeah, so it's already open. So within the main.py file, so we created these 3 routes which is of no use, like because these are the hard coded message. We in the initial phase we just created the few routes just to show you the documentation, but in the later way, like, we will remove these 3 routes because we don't need these 3 like hello user, hello item. This is like vague routes. These are doing nothing. So we have to create like one route, and now we have to insert the data. Insert the data means we have to create the post route, right? So we will create the users route, that it is the post request, like slash users, and in the slash user, but they have the get request, and we will put under the tags, and we will put it under the user tag only. Okay, so let's create a function. So once anyone hit the post request on the slash users endpoint, so what operation should be performed? So we want some create user operation should be performed, right? And in the create user operation, so what input should do, it will get. So user should pass some JSON data, from the front end. User will pass email and the password. So what user will pass? User will pass email and some email, right? And user will pass password as well, and some password, right? So user will pass this. So we have to accept. So this is not an integer, this is not a string, so we have to accept the particular data. So let's accept the data from the user, and the data type is, what is the data type? Sorry, so what is the data type? So we already declare our schema. So the data type is users. So better let create it user. So what happened? User create. So user create this is the schema, right? So let me save this. So data type is 1 minute. So data type is user create, but we use the user create, but we have to import the user create. So it is defined into our schema file. So from schema, where is that? Yeah, from schemas we are importing the, from schemas import user create, because if we not import the schema, then we can't use that, right? So this is done, and then what is the next step? So next step is, okay, user has passed the data, right? So user has passed the data, like email and the password, and we have accepted the data. So if I show you user.email, not the user.email, yeah, and if I show you print user.password, let's try to print whether we are getting the data or not, right? So that is fine, and let's start the server. UVCon main app -f reload. UVCon. Oh, UVCon. Oh. No module name schema. Okay, so I think it is schemas. Okay, it is schemas. So let me correct the code. Nano main.py schemas. It is schemas. So this is the advantage, like we have added few lines. So let's test the code so that we can get the errors. Okay, so let's try uvcon main app hyphen reload. We are just checking whether like we are like getting the data or not. We are not actually inserting. We will insert, but we will wait. So now we could see post route as well under the user, right? So if we extend this, we could see like let me try it out, and we can see like the request body automatic came like email and the password. So let me give some email. Let me give as an email swanshu@gmail.com. Let me give any dummy email, and let me give the password as well. So it could be like my password, right? And if I execute it, now I am doing the post request. So it should not return anything, but it should print. So it has printed our like email and the password, right? So it means like we are accepting the let me source env bin activate nano. Let me clear the screen. Nano main.py file. So it means we are successfully like accepting the data, right? But we have to insert the data. So insert the data is we have to insert the data into the table, right? And the table is defined in a form of models.py. So model, so class is a user, so user is one table. So this is a class user. So we will create a object for the user class. So if I am using the user class, so I have to import that user class as well. So from the models import base, and from the models we are importing the user class as well. That is, we are importing the user class as well. Okay, so we have importing the user class as well. And the user class like will accept what argument id, email, password and is active. But id like we will not pass, email we will pass. So email will be user.email, because like just a few seconds ago like we printed user.email. So in user is like a JSON object, and within the JSON object user.email is the email which user is passing, and the password is user.password, right? But as I told you, like we will not insert the like the plain password, and we created some let me show you. We created some like hashing py file, and using the passly module, like we create two methods, get hash password method, verify password method. So we will like use this get hash password method. So this get hash password method defined under the hasher class. So let's import this hasher class first. So from hashing import hasher class. So now rather than inserting the plain password, what we will do, we will call the get hash password function, and it will accept user.password, because it will accept the plain password, and the plain password is user.password. So it will accept the plain password, right? Get hash password. So that's done. Now we have to, so this we have just created the object, we have not like insert the object. So we will insert the object like and as I told you, we have created a session as well, and to perform any query we will use the session object, right? So and let me show you as well, and we created one session object as well, database.py. So this is a session class, session local, right? So this is a session class, session local, and we created a session object. So for this session class we created a one object, db. So db is a session object. So db is a session object. So we have to pass one more argument, db, and it is of type session. And what is the value of session? It depends upon the getDB function, because we have defined under the getDB. If you define outside like db is equal to session local, then we don't have to call this depends and then getDB. We can just directly import from database, and we can directly get getDB. So we are calling the getDB function. In the coming videos, you will understand what is the use of dependency injection, because in the last video, in the earlier video as well, I told you if we have to insert the data into the testing database, then this getDB function will be very useful at that time. So what we will do, we have to import this getDB function. So it is present into the database. So what we will do is from database import engine and import getDB as well. So getDB is okay, and also we are using the session keyword. So session is a data type which exists in the SQL Alchemy. From SQL Alchemy.orm import session. This is basically database data, and so that's why it exists into the SQL Alchemy. It not exist into the Python int string list tuple. It's not exist in the Python framework. It exists in the SQL Alchemy. Alright, so we import the session. Now we have the session object. So using the session object, we will insert the data. db.add insert. So it will insert the data, and our session is connected with our database, and it will automatically insert the data into our database. Now we will commit it. So once we commit it, we will refresh the data. We will refresh it, and refresh will take one argument, and it will take the argument as user, and then we will return the user. Return the user means it will return the user object. User object means let me show you, nano models.py. So user object is a user class. So it will return ID, it will return email, it will return password, it will return is active state, everything it will return. So it will return the user object. So I think everything is ready, and we have imported everything. So we have imported from models, we have imported the user class. So let's try that. So uv con main app -- reload. Address already in use. Okay, I think it's already started. Depends. Okay, so we have not 1 minute. So we use a depends keyword. So generally depends, whenever we want any information from any function, then we use the depends keyword. So getDB is basically a function. So control X, nano database. So getDB is a function, and we want this particular session object from this function, getDB function, right? So if it is exist outside the function, then we can directly call, right? But we want this getDB function from some we want some session object from some function. So that's why we use the depends keyword, and we have to import the depends function, and it is available in the FastAPI. So from FastAPI we are importing the depends. So let's save it, and let's rerun again. And now the application is started. So we will see whether we will able to successfully insert the data or not. So under the post, let's try it out, and let's try to insert the data. Sumanshu@gmail.com, and password could be any password. Let's put dummy password. Right, let's execute it. So we've executed it, and we get successful response 200, and we get the output as email is active is true, because is active is by default true, and password is, we get the hashed password, and we get the ID as well. And if we cross check the database, and if I run the same query, select star from public.user, and I could see the data as well. ID is inserted, email is inserted, password is inserted, is active is inserted. Why the ID is like set as a 3? Because like before making this video, I already tested that, and I tested 2 times, and so 1 and 2 ID get already taken. So like ID 3 get inserted. We don't worry about the ID, like the user get like has created the account, and we have successfully inserted the data into the database, right? But so this is like let me close the app. So now we could see end-to-end flow. We have inserted the data, we have validated the data using the pydantic schema, right? Then we will like perform some business logic like hashing, and then db.add, and then we have inserted the data into the database, right? But let's suppose when you created a application, so in the main.py file, if you see the main.py file, in the main.py file we are adding all our routes: app.get user, app.get items, app.get environment, app.post user. So in a actual application, there could be a lot of paths, like a lot of REST API, lot of routes. So a lot of get routes, lot of post route, lot of put route, lot of delete routes, right? So many operations. So one thing is either put everything into the main.py file. That's not an concern, like your application will definitely work fine. But generally that is not recommended. So we have to arrange our project structure. So generally, like if you are aware of the Flask, so in the Flask we have the concept of the blueprints, because in the Flask as well, like we define all the routes. So rather than defining all the routes within a one file, we created the blueprints, and under the blueprints, like we created a different files, and in the one files we put all the user route, in the another file we'll put all the product route, in the third file we put all the admin routes, right? And we have just like add those blueprint, we just registered those blueprints into the Flask application, and the same concepts used in the FastAPI as well. So rather than defining all the URLs here, what we will do is like we will create one folder routes folder. So let me show you the official documentation once. So there is a one document like bigger applications, multiple files. So they have told that if you are building an application or a web API, it's rarely the case that you can put everything on a single file. So it's very rare. So FastAPI provides a very convenient tool, a very flexibility, and it is same as the Flask blueprint. It is equal to the Flask blueprint. So what we will do, we will arrange our structure in this way. Like we will create a folder, routers folder, and we will put all these routes under that folder. So let's comment that. And let me comment these as well. And we will put all these route under that. So we have commented everything. So if I save it, so you will not able to see any route. So if I start the app, so application is started, and if I start the docs, so no routes are there, right? So nothing is there. Alright, so what we will do, let me terminate the application. So let me create, so right now we don't have any folder, so let me create a folder. What they have suggested, so they have suggested routers. So we have created a routers folder, and to make it a package, so let's create a init file, init.py, so that it is treated as a package, cd routers ls. where it go? Oh, we created outside. Let me remove that. And cd routers and touch is basically a command to create a file. So so we have make a router as a package. Now we will create our all the router. So let's suppose users route user.py. So we will create our route here. So basically main.py file. So we will put all this information into our all the users information into the user route. So what we will do is what we have to do is ideally app dot let me try to copy and paste. So let me do that. So everything will be same. What we have perform there, we have just put in a separate file, so that we can our main.py file should not be very lengthy. So copy, paste. So we have put a user all the users route, whether it a get, whether it a post, or whether there is any other user route, user slash id, or whether it is a put route, whether it is a delete route, which we create in the near future. We will put everything into the user.py file, but app keyword is defined into the main.py file, right? So here what we will do is from FastAPI, ideally what we will do, we will import FastAPI, and we will create an object of the FastAPI, right? We did this and we use that particular object, but we will not do this. There is a replica of the FastAPI and it is called as a APIRouter. So let me show you about the APIRouter first. So APIRouter is basically is a replica of the FastAPI. It is basically, it is called as a mini FastAPI. Let me show you. So APIRouter is basically called as a mini FastAPI. So whatever the thing is available in the FastAPI, it is available in the APIRouter. So we use this syntax, from FastAPI we will import FastAPI. So rather than the FastAPI, we will use APIRouter. And because app instance we already use, so let's make it router, and rather than the app we will use router, and rather than the app we will use it router, and that's it. APIRouter is nothing, it is same as a FastAPI, just they have created FastAPI created has so many things, just they took a few concepts from the FastAPI and put into the APIRouter, so that we can segregated our routes, right? So we have created our so we have created everything from the FastAPI, but we have we have to, because when we define this router file there, we use these commands, depends, we imported depends, we right? So we imported depends, so we have to import the depends here, depends, and we have to import the user create from schemas, import user create, and we will remove these from our main.py file. And what else is required? From SQL alchemy.orm import a session. And what else require? From database import getDB. I think from hashing import hasher. Anything else require? From models import user. Anything else require? No, nothing else require. So whatever we used here, we have imported everything. So let's save this file. Okay, so we have saved this file. So let me update our main.py file. Let's note in the router main.py file. Okay, so let me remove that. So getDB is already imported, so we don't need getDB. We don't need depends because it's already like imported there. We don't need user. We don't need schema user create. We don't need hasher. We don't need session, right? Because like we have already like, because we wherever we use those function only like at that place we will imported that. But main.py file doesn't know about our router file, so we have to we have to like you can say include our router file here. So first we will import that from router import user, right? So let me again show you. Control X cd router ls. So we have the users. So from routers we will import the user. Now what we will do, we have to just write one line app dot include router. And what is the router? Users dot router. Because let me again show you nano users.py file. So what is the application? Router, and it is exist in the users, right? So we have include the router. Which router we include? Users.router, right? So similarly we can create items.py file, and from the main.py file we will cut everything and we will put. So let me delete this, so it no more require. Basically we are arranging our app. If you want you can put everything here, but it is not recommended, otherwise main.py file become very large, right? Now we will put like these two route there. Copy and paste. But again, rather than the app, we will use the FastAPI. We will use the API router, and we will create a object of the API router. And we will, rather than the app, we will use the router. And okay, get env is nothing related with the so let me remove this because it is nothing related with the item, it could be something else. So we have put everything here, so let me save that. And in the main.py file, so I have to include router, and which router I have to include? Items.router. But before that I have to import that as well. So user I have imported, and now I have to import routers as well. So yeah, so I have to import the items as well, and within the items we have the router object, and we have to include include, and everything will be the remain same. So let me delete these commented lines so that our code should be very clear. Yeah, so let me save that. Let's try main app -- reload. Okay, so something is wrong. From router import user, it is router or routers. Clear ls. Okay, our folder name is routers. So okay, that's not a problem, we will like correct it. Routers. So let's restart the app. Okay, one more issue. What is the issue? Get missing one positional argument path. From routers import users and item. So router dot get items tags product argument path. What is the issue? Get missing one required position argument. Let me check, maybe something we did wrong. cd routers ls nano items and get items is okay. Router is okay. Oh, okay. It's a class, I think. Control X, yes. Error loading app could not load main. Could not import module main. What is the issue now? Okay, it is in the router. We are in the router, so we have to should be into the because main is outside. So let's start. Now the application is started. So we have like fixed all the bugs. So let me refresh it, and again back you are able to see our user route and our product route, basically items route. And if we execute our like user route, so you will hopefully you will see like a hello message, hello user. And if we execute our post route, so right now we have only one entry. So let's do the second entry, but using, so try it out, and let's do any other entry, and let's nankana@gmail.com, and the password could be, let's give any password. Where is my cursor? Let's give any password, and the password is testing. So let's execute it, and it is successful. So it is registered. So password is hashed as well, and let's try whether we see the entry or not. Now we see the entry. So basically like let me close it, terminate it, and let me again show you main.py file. So basically what we did is, earlier we like put everything, all the routes into the main.py file, but in the actual application when you actually work on the project, so basically when we create the project, a full end-to-end project, it will be very clumsy. Main.py file become very clumsy. So it is basically same as our blueprints which we used like in the Flask framework. So similarly, rather than the blueprints, we are here the concept of the API router. Alright, so we will just create a different folder, a router folder, and we will define everything there. We will just include the router here, and similarly in the Flask framework we register the blueprint. Now our main.py file is very neat and clean. Any number of our routes, whether you create 1000 routes, we have to just include router. We will include all the routers here, and our application will be ready. Right. So yeah, so that's the end of the video, and thank you. 1 minute, let me show you. Yeah, so basically like we cover this topic, like bigger application multiple file, but we have not seen like all the things, because if you see, it's a very long document, so we have not seen everything, but a little of things we have seen, and in the coming videos we have like look about and more about these things, but slowly. Right. So we have seen about like how to arrange our bigger application. We have to see how to insert the data, right? So actually how the insert the data, how we have created the post. Earlier like we have just created a get route, now we have created the post route as well, and we have actually inserted the data into the database. Okay, so yeah, so thank you.